World leaders gathered in London for the Queen Elizabeth II's memorable state funeral. President Barrow is in New York for the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. And the depreciation of Nigeria's currency triggered dissenting views among citizens. Well, this and more coming your way on The World Today. Hello, this is Eyeafrica TV and you are watching The World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. And we begin in the United Kingdom where Britain and the world said a final goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II at a state funeral on Monday attended by global leaders including presidents, kings, princes, prime ministers among others, and a large crowd who thronged the street of London to honor a monarch whose 70-year reign defined an age. The late Queen Elizabeth's coffin was draped with the royal standard, and atop it sat the imperial state crown, sparkling with almost 3,000 diamonds and sovereigns opt and scepter. The Queen's coffin was also followed into the church. Generations of Elizabeth's descendants, including King Charles III, Queen Elizabeth died September 8, 2022 at Balmoral, aged 96, after reigning for 70 years. And from that, of course, memorable state funeral there in UK for the late Queen. Elsewhere, President Adama Barrow has arrived in New York, United States, ahead of his participation in the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Barrow is accompanied by senior government officials and the First Lady, Fatoumata Barrow. Moses Imendi has the details in this report.
Of top leaders on Thursday and will attend some bilateral discussions with fellow leaders. This is the first physical gathering of the United Nations General Assembly in 2 years. It used to be held virtually and hybrid due to restrictions on COVID-19 pandemic regulations. The General Assembly comes at a crucial time as the world is beset with crisis. It will feature world leaders debating on pressing issues facing the world such as the Ukraine war, rising cost of living, environmental degradation, and many more. Moses Imendi, Eyeafrica News. President Barrow and his...
Moses Imendi. Elsewhere in the continent, Ghanaian authorities have declared the end of the Marburg outbreak following a rigorous fight against the virus in the West African nation. According to the country's health service, 2 deaths were recorded out of the 3 confirmed cases since the confirmation of the virus in July this year. Now, the health officials, with support from WHO and partners, rolled out immediate remedial measures to contain the virus. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Ghana's health service says 3 people were infected with the Marburg virus since the outbreak of the disease in July. 2 people died while the last person has recovered after receiving treatment at a hospital. Health officials have now declared Ghana free of the Marburg virus in line with the World Health Organization guidelines.
Appropriate outbreak response actions to Marburg virus disease has been implemented during the 42 days following the last negative PCR results for the sole surviving case in line with recommendations by WHO and best practices. Ghana has therefore successfully interrupted the first Marburg virus disease outbreak and hereby declare that the outbreak is officially over.
Ghana is the 2nd country in West Africa to record the Marburg virus after Guinea. Health authorities say nearly 200 people were traced and tested for the disease. More than 100 of them have completed the 21 days of mandatory follow-up tests and have since been discharged after their results showed negative for the virus.
There is no known cure or vaccine for Marburg, so health officials in Ghana say they will ensure proper surveillance in areas affected by the outbreak in order to keep the virus at bay.
Now let's stay with health-related matters, because here countries around the world are not relenting in their quest to contain the COVID-19 global pandemic. Towards this end, Gambia's Minister of Health recently launched a latest round of vaccination exercise in the country with the objective to have more Gambians vaccinated, especially the elderly, who are perceived as the most vulnerable group in the society. Here's more details of that in this report.
The devastating effects of the global coronavirus pandemic continue to be felt in the lives and livelihood of millions of people around the globe. However, the advent of the different developed COVID-19 vaccines is helping in safeguarding the lives of many people, especially the elderly group. The World Health Organization's approved vaccines were widely cherished for their efficacy and efficiency in minimizing deaths during the pandemic, especially among the older population. Speaking to Eyeafrica TV, Senior Communication Officer at the Ministry of Health, Jibril Gando-Balde, underscored the importance of COVID-19 vaccines in protecting the lives of people while encouraging the public to be active in accepting them, especially the elderly, who are among the most vulnerable to the pandemic.
COVID-19 have claimed a lot of lives, and most of the people that lost their lives during the pandemic, before the vaccination campaign started, were elderly. So that shows that the elderly were more vulnerable to the disease than the young population.
Cognizant of this fact, the Gambia, like many countries, also prioritize inoculating its specified vulnerable group, such as the elderly population.
And when we started the vaccination also, we started vaccinating this group first, that is the health workers, elderly, and then people with living with other conditions. So this has gone a long way in trying to prevent and protect the elderly population. And thank God, and since the pandemic still now, Gambia have only registered 370 deaths, which we can say is highly attributed to the vaccination that we have provided to the elderly population in the Gambia.
Mr. Balde further advised the public to be conscious as the coronavirus pandemic still exists and gradually circulating in the country. He said people need to be more responsible in protecting themselves and those around them against the deadly disease. Gambia's Minister of Health is also intensifying efforts to have about 70% of the country's population vaccinated against the COVID-19 pandemic, despite a noticeable vaccine hesitancy among the public. Reporting for African News, I am Amadou Kante.
And from the report there, just a reminder, you are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Eyeafrica TV, and we are coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And from the report there, we now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
As part of government's commitment towards universal health coverage and also digitize the civil registration and vital statistics systems in the country, the Ministry of Health and partners will embark on a mass birth registration campaign and enrollment for the National Health Insurance Scheme effective August 1st, 2022. Every individual born in the Gambia or by Gambian parents and residents of the Gambia are eligible to register during this important national exercise by providing the following documents: birth certificate, national ID card or passport, driver's license, voter's card, residence permit, vet certificate of parent, infant welfare card, alcalo attestation. Rush now to register and encourage your family and friends to do so during this important campaign. For any information, call 1025. This campaign is supported by the government of the Gambia and partners.
Welcome back, and this is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin. And once again, many thanks for joining us. Let's now look at the rest of the story. Nigerian citizens have expressed concern over the depreciation of their country's local currency, thanks to the dwindling of foreign inflows. Now, amid the prevailing economic challenges, experts observe that the government needs to address the situation by allowing the naira currency to float into the local market. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Shoppers at this market in Nigeria say they are taking home fewer groceries but spending more money. They say even the highest denomination, which is the 1,000 naira note, can only buy a few items.
A few years ago, if you bring 10,000 to the market, you will go home with a lot of groceries. But today, that's no longer the case.
Our naira now don't have value, so we need them to do something in this country. We are tired of this suffering.
The naira, Nigeria's local currency, ranks 11th worst performing currency against the US dollar in 2022, according to Hanki's currency watch list. In January this year, the naira traded against the dollar at 417 on the official market and 567 on the black market. But this month, the currency further weakened to about 436 on the official and 700 on the black market. The persistent loss of value is attributed to a shortage of dollars amid increased demand.
The naira has dropped significantly because the pressure to sell the naira and hold dollars, because companies are trying to import raw materials, capital equipment, they are trying to repatriate profits. Yeah, Nigerians are paying school fees abroad, medical bills abroad. Yeah, there's so much pressure on the naira.
The situation has been worsened by the drop in the export of crude oil, which is Nigeria's major foreign exchange earner. Economic experts say the government needs to float the naira, which would mean allowing the exchange rate of the naira and other currencies to become flexible without any government intervention.
What they need to do is to do what the Egyptian government did in 2016, November. Allow the naira to float and allow the market to determine the exchange rate, which is adopting a floating exchange rate mechanism, so that the naira can float freely. It will be a case of buyer and seller. Willing buyer and willing seller will determine what the exchange rate will be.
But Nigeria's central bank argues that floating the naira would lead to massive depreciation of the currency and ultimately a currency crisis. However, it says its priority is to increase the country's foreign exchange reserves to address the supply shortage.
The report is coming from the Nigerian capital, Abuja. Finally, and coming back home, technical advisor in charge of English-speaking countries for Jidda Charoy Kao, the municipal council in Dakar, Senegal, has told this medium that his visit to the Kanifing Municipal Council is to build partnership in the areas of healthcare, education, sports, and environment. Musa Ba said this period is win-win partnership that seeks to set the bridge of African neighborhood collaboration in achieving great project. Mafuji Sise has the details in this report.
Mr. Ba is in the Gambia to set a partnership bridge between his municipality and the Kanifing Municipal Council. There are a lot of development similarities between Guinea-Charikoi Municipal Council and that of the KMC. This is among the reasons for Mr. Ba's courtesy call to the KMC since his appointment as the bridge between his municipality and the English-speaking countries.
That's the reason why I'm here, just for setting this bridge of partnership, which I call the win-win partnership, the bridge of partnership that I consider as a give-and-take meeting. A give-and-take meeting because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm solely, convinced that in the Gambia, our municipality council of Eyeafrica will find some project that we are going to adapt. In terms of reality that we are going to adapt for our community, and vice versa. Your community also can find some projects and so many great ideas that are being done by Mayor Momdugay at our municipality council.
KMC and Guinea-Charikoi municipality can now identify each other's interest areas to partner through the signing of agreements for sustainable development in areas of interest, including climate, healthcare, sports, social transformation, and environment.
In terms of area in which we can have partnerships, we are widely open simply because there are so many points in terms of partnership. For example, we can list environment, we can list healthcare, we can list education, we can list social transformation, we can list sport, culture, tradition, everything. Even trading, exchange, and businesses. Okay, so that's the reason why, at the time being, we are not focused on one point. We are not focused on one point, and we are not laying the emphasis on one point. We are going to work widely. We are going to be so open. We are going to check. Any kind of possible way so that to have the partnership, and insofar to do it well for the benefit of our people from the Gambia and Senegal.
The visiting diplomat visited the Bakote dump site, which can serve as area of the Senegalese counterparts' landing point. He also visited the municipality's different development areas. Mafuji Sise for Eyeafrica News.
And that report there by Mafuji Sise eventually brings us to the end of this news edition. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching, and do have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.